Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments right here in West New York. And I'm licensed to preach and I'm ordained as a minister. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. Now, today, I know last week I talked a little bit about a book that I was writing, and was inspired to put this book together because I got such a tremendous response. And I'll be talking about this book instead for the next couple of weeks or so until I'm done talking about it. And it's entitled Buy a Home with Your Section 8 Homeownership Voucher. Buy a Home with Your Section 8 Homeownership Voucher. And thank you for joining me today. And today I'll talk about as much of the book as I can, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about what the book is about. And this book is available on Books Galore and more. And thank you for joining me today. Now, the book basically, like I said, it only talks about Section 8 Homeownership Voucher Program. That's the only thing that it talks about. Home ownership and Section 8 buying a home. All right, it talks about I'm going to talk a little bit about what Section 8 Homeownership Voucher is, eligibility requirements for home ownership, employment requirements, home ownership counseling. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about some frequently asked questions, home ownership expenses. I'm going to talk about what your portion would be as a homeowner. Okay, then there are other programs, other government programs that I'm actually government discount home buying programs that I'm going to talk about. It'll talk about how you can actually own a home through these particular programs. Okay, and they're sort of like they're discounted programs that are offered through various government agencies. Okay, and I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. Okay, and we're going to talk about some of the different home ownership programs that are available through different government agencies. Okay, buying a home. Now, this specifically, I'm licensed real estate broker of affordable homes and apartments. Okay, at Affordable Homes and Apartments, we sell homes. I specialize in foreclosures, properties that are below market value. I like selling properties that are below market value because actually it was one of my first homes. My first home was a government home that I purchased. And it brought, lots of enjoyment for me. I was really happy and pleased with it. I was glad that I purchased it. But I was able to purchase it at, pretty much almost nothing. But what happened, I had to put some work into it. Okay, I either had to do the work myself, I had to hire someone to help me do it, or I would have to hire a contracting company. And I pride myself being able to do some of the work of the house, because when you look at a house after the work is done, you can say, "Wow, I did that." I put those kitchen cabinets in. We put that flooring down. I put that floor. I put those wall panels on. The wall paneling on. I mean, if you really get ambitious, you can start. Hey, I went up on that roof, honey, and I fixed the roof. I did the siding on the side of the house. One thing I will not mess with, and that's electricity. Water, I can mess with. I'll put some pipes together. I'll screw them and whatnot, cut them and what have you. The worst, I don't like asking that question, but the worst that'll happen is that you'll have a leak. Thank God for windows, otherwise you'd have a flood. But electricity, you get shocked, honey, and that's it for you. I don't think there will be no coming back from that. Okay. So my goal is to stay alive, okay, as long as I can. Now I'll explain to you about homeownership voucher, okay, what it is. And then we get into the logistics of actually owning a home. Now I always say my philosophy, my motto, I guess you could say, is an educated consumer is my best customer. Okay, if you're an educated consumer, you my best customer, honey, because we can talk. You know, um, it also that means that you're interested in learning. You want to better yourself. You're interested in finding out about these programs, about how you can better yourself. And your family. You and your whole family will actually benefit from it. You won't be the only one to benefit. I mean, but owning a home is so rewarding because it's such a wonderful experience to actually own something. To own your own home. Yeah, I own a car. Most people do own cars. You and the finance company, okay? Even if you're mortgaging the home, and if you look at some of my videos on YouTube, just go to my YouTube channel at Affordable Homes and Apartments, and you'll see some of the videos that I've talked about in terms of financing programs, mortgages, choosing the mortgage that's right for you. And I'm going to continue going over and start, talking about some more of that kind of stuff as we continue and progress in, in real estate. And I particularly want to talk about it. I was just led to talk about this because it just seemed like very appropriate. I gotten such a tremendous response from my YouTube channel, from my, you know, from everything that I've been putting out there. I've been getting a great response, and it's wonderful that I have been doing that. So, and I know that it's something. This is like really what I want to do to promote home ownership in low to moderate income individuals and families. Okay, there's several reasons why you should own a home, why you can own a home. First of all, it's about money. It's not only about the money, but money is a significant portion of it. Okay, when you own a home, you always have access to cash. And you'd be surprised that money will just start coming in and rolling in, and you'll have an endless supply of it. If you're educated, and you read and you become knowledgeable on the subject, then you'll never be broke. There'll always be a way that you can put some money in your pocket. And I think that's like the bottom line right there. Always be a way that you can put some money in your pocket. You'll always have money for the kids, put them on an allowance or what have you. You'll always have money for whatever you need. You don't have to ever, now, I don't know about a car note, because, you know what I mean, I'd rather pay cash. Even if I got to get a hoopty, I'd rather do that, which is what I've done. I've gotten into trouble buying those cars that were hoopties, the cheapest cars on the market. But it got me around, and I didn't have to pay no note. That was the big thing. I don't like paying no note. You have to pay, if you have a mortgage, you got to pay your mortgage. And there are other things that you are required to pay if you want to be comfortable. You got to pay your electric, your gas. Those are required. But you don't have to have a car note. But you have to have car insurance. Okay? So, car versus home. A car, when you drive it off the lot, it depreciates in value. A home, when you get the keys to your home, which is called the closing, and you open the door to your home, it's finally yours. The actual home actually appreciates. It goes up in value the moment that you purchase that home. And we'll be talking about the different types of things. I don't, get too deep into it right now because right now I'm trying to just stay focused on what I'm trying to talk about today. But owning a home is a great and rewarding experience. Like I said, it's not just about, the property itself. It's about keeping cash in your pocket. When you have a job, there's a whole lot of things that you can do with a home. You can rent it out. You can sell it. You can mortgage it, refinance it. You know what I mean? Renovate it. It's yours. You can do what you want to do. I used to say that, when you own a home, that you don't have to worry about the neighbors because you can blast your music as loud as you want. But that's only the case if the homes are a little further apart from each other. If you live in a house, that the house is like just enough room between your house and the next house to park your car, 9 times out of 10 you will not be able to play your music. Let me just tell you a little bit about me and how I got started in real estate. Okay, I'm a licensed real estate broker. Affordable Homes and Apartments is my company. Okay, and I started out, I got my license as a sales agent, okay, because I wanted to learn real estate and I wanted to learn it from an intimate perspective. I'm from New York City, Harlem in the house, okay, So when you're from Harlem, there's these buildings, what they used to call tenements, and what they were brick buildings. Most of them were brick, and a lot of them were walk-ups. They were like 6 stories of walk-up. And you're young. You got your energy, you got your kids or whatever. So no big deal about walking up 6 flights of steps if you have to. You go to the store, you better remember everything you got to get while you're there. Because if you forget something, just remember those 6 flights of stairs that you got to walk up, or 5 or whatever. You're lucky if you get something on this. I don't like the first floor. The second or third floor is cool. But when you're younger, you can get that. When you get older, then you got to get something with an elevator. Or you better get your own house. So I started out as a 7A administrator. A 7A administrator is a court-appointed building manager. Okay, and I took this class basically because I needed help with the building that I lived in. The landlord was not making repairs, and I was shocked because the building that I lived in had 40 stories and at least about maybe 10 apartments on each floor. And there were 4 buildings in this, in the suburbs they call it a cul-de-sac. Okay, come on, let me just keep it real. In the ghetto, they call it a dead end, okay? One way in and one way out. Roaches check in, but they don't check out, okay? And it was in a cul-de-sac. I'll just keep it nice. And there was 4 buildings, 40 stories each building. But what had happened was the 7A administrator is a court-appointed building manager. And it was a short course that I took. I got my certificate, and after that, what you got to do is you have to locate your own rundown buildings. And back then, the buildings were very easy to find, very easy to locate, because there were plenty of them. Slumlords were running rampant. They were getting away with practically murder, and tenants were suffering tremendously at the hand of the landlords. But you needed a place to stay. So you got you an apartment. It wasn't up to standards. You figured that if you kept it clean, then you would be good. But a lot of times the landlord wouldn't fix certain things, and the tenant didn't have the money to do it. Learn how to do it. You'll be sort of self-sufficient. For example, if you don't have those thermal insulated windows that so many people have, get yourself some plastic from Home Depot, honey. I use staples because Scotch tape doesn't stick all the time as well as it does. So I take me some staples. I got my staple gun and my supply staples and my plastic. I get the thick kind, right? Try to get the one that you can see a little bit through, because they have different grades of plastic at Home Depot. Not the kind that you blow a hair dryer through and you put it outside the windows. I use mine on the inside. Okay, I just take it, I cut it to the size of the window, and then I staple it around the window. And that's it. And then I put my curtains over it and everything, and now I have insulated windows. You have to learn how to be creative because you have to think of it like this. The landlord doesn't want to fix anything, right? Okay, so you're cold in your apartment because you got a draft in your window. So you're going to sit there and be cold? Or you're going to try to find a way to keep the cold out? Okay? There's been some horror stories of people living in slumlordy apartment buildings. And this is where we as a 7A administrator was attacking the situation. Okay, however, it got dangerous because owners became very possessive of their property. I mean, just imagine. First of all, the property, the job goes like this: you get a small percentage of the collected rent rolls, right? The tenants are not paying their rent in the first place because of the conditions of the building. So the landlord is getting whatever rent he can get, and he's putting that in his pocket, trying to pay his taxes or what have you. Now, with 7A administrator, once you get the certificate, now we're authorized to go in and manage the property. Okay, we locate the rundown buildings. Okay, then we organize the tenants. I have a book for you on that. Okay, which I talked about, tenants' rights. That's also available on Books Galore and more. Okay, and I organize the tenants, form a tenants association, and then we get at least 1/3 of the tenants to sign a petition, and then we take it to court, and then we petition the judge to have the landlord removed from active management of his or her own building. And then I, as a 7A administrator, would hopefully be appointed of that building. Now, when I first started out, there was so many buildings, forget it. There was you just look around and there was all these buildings, At that point, when I was doing that, it was considered an eyesore. And then not too long after that, maybe 5-10 years after that, once I became licensed as a real estate broker, all of a sudden now these buildings become an investment opportunity. And you have all of these investors coming from out of town. They want to buy these buildings. But then, you know what happened was we had a mayor, David Dinkins, and he was an African American. And he was smart. He started buying those buildings up, renovating them and fixing them up and providing decent housing for low to moderate income families that were getting Section 8 and not Section 8, but predominantly Section 8. So these buildings that he would buy, they now belong to him. Okay? And so that's what he was doing. He was going around building up, fixing up, buying these buildings, fixing them up. And honey, sure enough, that's when all of a sudden these investors from all over these other big cities come to New York City and they want to buy these buildings. Now they come into the Bronx. Now it's no longer an eyesore, some place that they want to stay away from. Now they want to flock to it. Okay, so I got my experience as a 7A administrator. I started out, and that's a court-appointed building manager. So I went straight from being a 7A administrator right to being a licensed real estate broker. Because when I first wanted to buy a home, I didn't buy a home until I became licensed as a broker. Why? Because when I would go around to these real estate companies and I would ask them questions about the programs that I learned in my sales class, they would look at me like I had lobsters coming out my head. And the reality of that is that I was giving them information and I didn't want to do that. So I needed to be as self-sufficient as I could, because more than likely they was going to try to show me houses that were going to cost an arm and a leg. And I wanted to buy something as cheap as I possibly could. I don't care how much work it needs. And a lot of times people will try to discourage you if you want to buy a rundown house. I don't want to say rundown, but a house that needs work, you know. It could be in a specific area where you could get some financial incentives. And these are the things that I have researched over the years, and I found out where the money is, who's eligible for it, how to qualify for it, and to put some of it in my pocket, okay? So I want to share a lot of this information with you. This book that I'm talking about today is Buy a Home with Your Section 8 Homeownership Voucher. Buy a home with your Section 8 Homeownership Voucher. Now, there are two different types of voucher that refers to this. There's a rental voucher, which is what you get when you rent a house or an apartment from a landlord, right? And generally, your portion as a tenant is 30%, right? Sometimes you pay nothing at all depending on the rent. I know I used to work for a landlord, and he used to have 4-bedroom apartments. You probably remember me, whatever, maybe. Mostly on the east side. And he would rent out 4 bedrooms, and he would charge a low rent. Okay, this rent was actually covered completely by Section 8. Okay, if the Section 8 will tell you how much rent they will pay. And sometimes landlords will go over that. And then the tenant now will have to pay 30% of whatever the rent is to compensate for the balance of the rent that the landlord is charging, right? So now that's a rental voucher. Now a home ownership voucher is something that you get, that you qualify for, that helps you to purchase a home. Okay, and generally, again, the mortgage payment that you, as a Section 8 homeowner, would pay is generally 30% across the board. Okay, so we're going to start talking numbers in next week, a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll be doing some workshops. I'll have some live webinars, I'll have some seminars and some videos that you can go online for. But you can view all these videos for free right on my website, my YouTube address at Affordable Homes and Apartments. Okay, Affordable Homes and Apartments, completely spelled out, everything spelled out. My website is affordablehomesandapartments.net. So you can look and view a lot of my other books. If you want to purchase, if you want to obtain a copy of any one of my books, the books are available on Books Galore and more. And there's information on there. I have videos on there. I have books. Most information that you need will be on the websites, either one of those websites or YouTube. And all of that's completely free. Okay? Now, just to briefly talk to you about the Section 8 Homeownership Program. If you wish to purchase your first home but need help with meeting your monthly mortgage and other homeownership expenses, there's a program that will help you. And it's called the Section 8 Homeownership Voucher Program. Now, if you are currently a participant in a Housing Choice Voucher Program, which means that if you're getting Section 8 to pay your rent, and you receive rental assistance, your voucher can buy your home, and you can receive monthly assistance in meeting your home ownership expenses if your local government agency participates in the Home Ownership Voucher Program and you meet income and eligibility requirements. It's not like you got to be making a lot of money, because that's not the case. Eligibility requirements in this case is meaning that you cannot make too much. Okay, first of all, we know that income wise, you have to be making minimum wage is what, $10 in New York. Believe it or not, minimum wage is still $7 in certain states. I was researching it, and I think in Alabama, the state still wants to pay them $5 an hour, but so the federal minimum wage law stepped in and paying them 7. So you can imagine across the board, it's not $10 everywhere. It's $10 in New York, and I say thank God it is, because that gives people a chance to make money. I mean, $10 is still not a lot of money to do nothing with. You know, okay. So when I say income and eligibility requirements, they're income maximums. Okay, so you can't be making over a certain amount of money. Okay, some people say income requirements that you got to be making at least $100,000 to qualify for this program. No, you can't make $100,000. You have to be making, for a family of, I can give you the numbers exact the next time, and I'll tell you exactly where to find it at also. But these are income maximums that you will qualify for. In other words, you could possibly even be making, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000, 25,000, and you could, for a family of 4 or 5, and qualify for the program. So you could be making minimum wage in some cases and still qualify for this program. Okay? And I've been told, and I've read it before, I don't know if it's changed or not, but I know in the past you could also be getting permanent disability and getting Section 8 and qualify for this program. Okay? Now the only stipulation that across the board is your credit has to be decent. And there are free homeownership classes that you can take that are pretty much, and I'll talk to you about what some of these organizations teach. And in order to be a homeownership, a housing counseling agency or something to that nature, you have to be registered with one of these government agencies, okay? And they would have a license, and there was something that would specifically say that they're registered. And these are the companies that you would go to, not all of them, but 1 or 2 of them, that you can go to and take the class. And once you've completed the class, you will get a certificate of completion, and then that will qualify you to participate in the Section 8 Homeownership Voucher Program. Also, you have to be getting your housing choice rental voucher for at least 12 months, at least a year. So you have to be getting, pay for a year. You have to be, Section 8 has to be paying you rent for a year, and then you can qualify for the housing homeownership voucher program. Okay, not all states, not all everywhere, municipalities or what have you offers this program. So you have to find out. If there's a waiting list, you have to wait for the waiting list. If the waiting list is closed, I don't want to tell you what to do, but if it's closed in this part of town, move to another county. Find out what state it's open so you can participate in this program, if that's what you want to do. If you do get on the waiting list varies from municipality to municipality. Okay, if you are in a subsidized unit, now just keep this in mind. Now there are some apartment buildings where the apartment is subsidized. Okay, so there's I'll get the names of these documents. Okay, I'm just trying to explain the difference between. Okay, you have a Section 8 voucher, a home rental. You have a housing choice voucher. It's a piece of paper, and you present it to the landlord. You say, "Here, I got Section 8." So you can almost rent any place, any landlord that accepts Section 8, right? There are apartment buildings that are subsidized, and you don't need the Section 8 voucher to get into the apartment and to get your rent subsidized. But that will not qualify you for the Section 8 homeownership program. Okay, that will not qualify you for the Section 8 homeownership voucher program. You have to actually have the Section 8 voucher. Okay, and this book is available on Books Galore and more. Okay, it's just completed. I don't have a copy of it, but I wanted to bring it to you right away before I even got a copy of the book. I just ordered it. It's going to be here by the time of the next broadcast, hopefully. So I'm going to round this segment up, and this book is available. Okay, you can view the videos anytime you get ready on my YouTube address at Affordable Homes and Apartments. You can go to my website at affordablehomesandapartments.net. Okay, my dream is to own, is to get me some land and to build some 2-story townhouses or 2-story row houses or whatever you want to call them. and there'll be like 3 and 4 bedrooms, maybe with a basement, okay? And they'll be specifically for Section 8. People who've got Section 8 for a year. Now, and I'm going to introduce you to how, like I'm doing now, how to get the program, and then you're going to be renting, or you're going to be buying a home. These are going to be homes, townhomes, that you're going to be that you're going to be buying with your Section 8 voucher. This is an exciting program, honey, and it's an opportunity. If more people could take advantage of the Section 8 home ownership voucher, okay, then there would be more people available. The list, there wouldn't be a waiting list. The waiting list wouldn't be closed, because then that would transition the tenants who are getting Section 8 rental vouchers. That would transition you. Now you're a homeowner. So that's one less person now that's renting. So you have an extra slot here for a tenant. You see what I'm saying? And I believe this is an exciting program. It's always been. It just, doesn't come. I just want you to remember that there's a difference between the Section 8 rental voucher, because a lot of people ask me about that. One lady says, I have a rental voucher and I can't buy a home. Some people like to dispute the fact that, different states and different organizations, they have their different policies. What you need to be aware of is the law regarding your Section 8 homeownership voucher in the state that you live in. Okay? So I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I have been talking about a book that I am coming out with called Buy a Home with Your Section 8 Homeownership Voucher. Buy a home with your Section 8 homeownership voucher. Okay? And I'll be talking about this a little bit more next week. Okay? And I'll come back to you when I'm done with this. Then I'll come back at you with my Giants book, which is also available on Books Galore and More. Okay? But this is an exciting program, and you need to take advantage of it, because there are other programs that you can take advantage of as well. Not just Section 8 recipients, but anybody who's a first-time home buyer who's looking to buy a home, who's of low to moderate income. Okay? You can also take advantage of first-time home buyer programs. Okay? And there are requirements and stipulations, but the main thing is that you need, when you're trying to dispute something, or you want to find something and somebody's telling you no, and you don't agree with that, it's good to find out what the law has to say about it. Okay, and this is an excellent book to get started with. Buy your home with the Section 8 home ownership voucher. Okay? And I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And my name is Dr. Sylvia Black. I'm a licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments. And I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister. And I finally have my PhD in Biblical Sacred Studies. Okay, and I want to thank you for joining me today, and I ask you to holler at a sister next week. See you next week. Peace out. Books Galore and More. Peace out, y'all.